Welcome to this special emergency session of Unchained TV. I'm your host, Lindsay Baker. They're being chased by helicopters, ripped from the land that's rightfully theirs, and shoved into government pens. Many never make it out alive. America's wild Mustangs are in crisis. Foals are collapsing. Families are torn apart, and too many are disappearing into the slaughter pipeline. But there's still time to act. A rescue effort is underway and a matching donor is doubling every dollar raised. These horses need us now. This is their last chance.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm here with our leader, Jane Velez Mitchell. I'm here with Nicole and Linda. Jane, take it away.
Well, I was on Facebook and I saw this emergency post, help save these two horses. They're about to go to slaughter. And I just had to act. So I donated amongst other people. We got them out, but now we need to get the money for transport. The hauler is coming tomorrow. And frankly, I kept donating, but I'm tapped out. It's got to be a group effort. I know there's a match. I am begging people to please just pitch in a little bit. And there are these URLs that we have. You can put it up, Lindsay, it's called Sweet Grass Advocacy for American Equines. And these women, and what I see is it's mostly women, so you could copy that right there, are working around the clock. They are literally dropping from exhaustion, trying to get these poor, innocent, healthy, young animals out of this death spiral that, of course, is totally unnecessary. Our government betraying these animals. There was a law passed that was the Wild Horse and Burro Rescue Act, and it was supposed to protect these animals, but they are being driven off public land so that cattle ranchers can have more grazing land for their cattle at public expense. And these poor innocent animals are being just pushed off the land, put in these horrible holding pens, and then auctioned off, and they end up riding all the way to Mexico or Canada to be slaughtered. It's disgusting. Every American should be absolutely outraged. We owe the wild horses of our nation. We wouldn't have even settled this nation without these wild horses. To betray them this way is an abomination. And I am urging everybody, just open your heart, open your wallet. We need to raise, it's about $600 and something, okay, that's left. And we can do it. Just copy this down, even take a photo of it, and then you can just copy it and put it in there and make that. In fact, I'm going to put it in Facebook. Take it away, Lindsay.
Yes, I want to show a clip now. I want to warn everyone. It's going to be disturbing. We're not going to play the entire thing. It's long, but you will see on Facebook where you can go and watch the entire thing.
A USDA study showed that 92% of horses sent to slaughter are young and healthy. Kill buyers want healthy horses so they can get more per pound. Also, it's against the law to transport a horse that is sick or injured. After kill buyers make their purchases, the horses go into feedlot pens where they undergo vet checks, which take about 7 days. They are then whipped and stuffed into cattle trucks known as stock trailers. The truck is packed to its maximum weight capacity, at least 30 horses per truck, for the trip to Canada and Mexico. They receive no food or water for the trip that lasts 3 to 7 days. Many arrive dead or badly injured from the inhumane trip. You know these big cattle trucks are going to slaughter plants because upon inspection, the horses will be loose inside the truck, have stickers on their backs, no halters, and no food or water. There will also often be horses that are dead, injured, and suffering inside the trucks. Conversely, humanely cared for horses aren't transported in big cattle trucks. They travel in smaller horse trailers. They are usually tied in the truck securely with a halter and always have their own space so other horses can't step on them. They will have food and water. They also won't have a sticker on their back unless a family or rescue has recently purchased them. State and international border agents routinely see these big cattle trucks filled with slaughter-bound horses, but let them through because it's not against the law. After the horses cross the border, the ones that survived are beaten into tiny kill chutes where they are given a captive bolt that doesn't kill them the majority of the time. Captive bolts aren't designed for horses because horses are flight animals that have long necks that move wildly when they are frightened. They are then dismembered alive. There are only approximately 60 known kill buyers as of 2022. Horse slaughter has decreased substantially over the years because of public outrage and education. Also, some European nations won't purchase horse meat from American horses because it's... Here's an overview.
Ugh. So disgusting. I want to go out to Linda Graves. Please tell us the overall problem here. Why is our government allowing this to go on and actually participating and running these roundups?
Well, the roundups right now, the roundups are being run solely based on numbers. There's no scientific reasons for the numbers that they're deciding that they allow on the range, which are AML's allowable. They say appropriate management level, but it's allowable management level. Even the Academy of Science has said when they looked into it, they could not find any scientific or rigorous accountability for how they come up with these numbers. So it's basically to give away for special interests. And right now they have, I don't know if you guys have brought this up, but right now there is a possibility of this new budget being cut, and the fact that we have 64,000 horses in holding because they've been just running balls to the walls trying to get these horses rounded up and off of public lands within 10 years. The whole country, they want to have about 16,000 wild horses for the whole country on, 250 million acres of BLM land. That's not counting forest land or anything else. So it's just a way to basically exterminate the horses. And if they do decide that the verbiage that would be banned, they've always had verbiage in the appropriation bills that healthy horses will not be killed and they will not be sold without limitation. And we're concerned that that's not going to be put back in. It's not in as of yet. And if it's not, then they could conceivably destroy all those horses in holding. And that's, again, I think that's one of the reasons they have not shut down slaughter, is because this is the long game, is to be able to get rid of all those horses that are in holding by shuffling through the slaughter pipeline. So that's my opinion. I mean, so.
Jane, will you go ahead and take over this part? I want to just do the media part of it, and I think we'll.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. I just went on my Facebook page and put the donate link into my Facebook page again to bring you up to date. If you could show the two horses, Lindsay, that we're trying to find transport to, I, along with other caring people, rescued these two. They were about to go in this horrific journey, this torture ride to death that you just heard about. And I saw them. I was just flipping through Facebook and I said, I don't want to live in a world where this happens to these beautiful, innocent animals, and I donated to rescue them. Then after that, I found that, wow, they need also to be transported, and the transport truck is coming tomorrow to take them to safety, and that's another $800. So I said, you know what? I'm tapped out. I donated to rescue them. Let's do a show and see if we can get the funds from caring people. The link is there in the Facebook page. I'm going to put it up one more time. It goes right to Sweet Grass Advocacy for American Equines. They are a 501c3 nonprofit. I already got my donate letter from them, so I know they're legit. And if everybody just pitched in like $10, $25, we could be there. There is a match. And I'm going to put in another $100 as a show of good faith.
And I'm going to match you, Jane, and put in 100.
Okay, so now we have 200. So that brings it down to like $400 that we need. So, I see people watching. I'm just asking you, this is a group effort. Patience O'Dowd is saying thank you for this live stream post. Others are just saying, it's illegal to ship horses from the U.S. without special permission from the Secretary of State. Maybe one of you could address that. Could you address that, Patience? Like, we hear that there are laws to protect these horses. There's the Wild Horse and Burro Act that was supposed to protect these horses. And yet we still hear that these horses are being driven to slaughter in Mexico or Canada. Take it away. Answer, anybody.
Who did you call on?
I'm trying to see the names. Can anybody answer that question?
Britta, can you answer that?
Yes, I can answer that. I thought you were calling on Patience. Under the 1971 Wild Horse and Burro Protection Act, it originally did, President Nixon intended on protecting the wild horses and burros. Unfortunately, there was an amendment, what they call last-minute amendment, by a Senator Burns many years ago, that included the allowance for managing the wild horses and burros as the Bureau of Land Management saw fit. And of course, the intention was simply that it created a loophole for wild horses to be disposed of and wild burros to be disposed of under the radar, essentially, and were not protected. The Bureau of Land Management frequently uses that loophole to say that horses are starving, that horses are in arid, dry areas in the western U.S. and can't find water and can't find anywhere to graze. And that just is not true. If you go out into the wild and you see the wild horses, the majority of them, and unless they are actually in BLM custody, out in the wild, you'll see horses that are body scores of 7, 8, 9. They're heavy, they're muscular, they're shiny, they're super fit. And so none of this is actually true. The photos
so
that
let me jump in. You're saying that our government is lying in order to kowtow to the cattle industry, which wants this land for themselves so that they can graze their cows. They're pretending that these animals are starving and that they're rounding them up for their own good, when in fact they're healthy, and they're using these helicopter roundups that are terrifying these animals, sometimes leaving them with broken bones. I've seen cases where the horses jump off cliffs because they're so terrorized. Then they put them in these government holding pens at taxpayer expense, and they're supposed to, go to good homes, but they end up going in this horrible downward spiral where they end up being shipped to slaughter.
Yes.
Is that a summary?
Yes, that is a summary, and it is absolutely legal to ship horses to slaughter. It is not legal to ship blind horses, sick horses, in foals, but it commonly happens. It happens every day because the USDA does not have really does not have proper regulations written to protect the horses. And so those horses cross the border without any oversight whatsoever. So that oversight is really only for cattle and pigs and sheep that cross into Mexico or Canada for slaughter for the purpose of meat, not for horses. Horses are not protected under any livestock regulation. So really, it doesn't behoove law enforcement to pull these tractor trailers over, and they really don't know what they're looking for when they do. And Horse Plus has new investigation information that we will be releasing regarding actually what's happening to horses down in Presidio, Texas. And so hopefully that will come to fruition soon. I think the other thing that's important for people to know is that in our congressional meetings a year ago, we spoke with the general counsel for Senate Ag, and it was made clear to us that the SAFE Act was not passing because they needed a quote unquote path to managing wild horses. And so, if people want to talk about the SAFE Act not being connected directly to wild horses, it absolutely is. And domestic horse owners should absolutely be infuriated that that their domestic horses are at risk of being brutally murdered because ranchers and mining industry need a path to eliminate and eradicate wild horses. And so when we really think about this, the truth that has come out, it may have been unintentional, but it was said nonetheless that the SAFE Act is directly connected to wild horse elimination. And so these are all things that we really need to think about. And these two horses particularly that need help getting out, they are
Please show them again, Lindsay, the two horses that we're talking, that the hauler is coming tomorrow, and we rescued them. They won't go to the slaughter, but they have to move out of the pens that they're in. The hauler is coming tomorrow. We only need $400 more. I just donated another 100. Lindsay just donated another 100. So we need 400 more. And I've put the link right up there for, now which link is that? I want to make sure we're putting the right link up for, we have two
That's
groups.
the second link, and I'm not, you'll have to tell me.
Okay. All right. So there's two links, but we want to raise funds for both organizations. There's a lot of people literally working around the clock to save these animals. But this is just sort of, the reason we're live now is that this is a last minute crisis emergency, which comes up all the time. So I would just urge you to get on the link and donate, and just $10, $5, we'll get there because there's a match. But we're doing this because this is an emergency, and these animals cannot speak for themselves. These animals cannot go to Congress and advocate for themselves. And what's so infuriating to me right now is that we're talking about stopping government waste. And the whole country is talking blah, 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 stop government waste. So why don't they get rid of this ridiculous program where something like 50,000 wild horses are kept in holding pens at taxpayer expense when they could be roaming free? And even some major philanthropists, I remember years ago, said, I'll take them, give them to me. I'll put them on my land. I have thousands of acres. No. So they just want to eradicate the wild horses, and that's our government at work. Even while they say they want to cut unnecessary spending, what could be more unnecessary than rounding up wild horses that are just minding their own business on public lands and sticking them in holding pens? It's a giant scam. And the Bureau of Land Management, which I believe is under the Interior Department, correct me if I'm wrong, is responsible for this. There have been demonstrations inside the Bureau of Land Management hearings. It doesn't matter. They do not listen. They have a one-track mind. Get rid of these wild horses, and they make up stories about them being thin and starving. Well, they wouldn't be having foals if they were starving to death. And they're having foals. They're reproducing. But then they say, oh, they're reproducing too much. It's like whatever happens, it's always an excuse to just round up and kill these horses. And I got to say, it makes me sick to my stomach. When I saw these two angels, I said, well, we can't rescue them all, but when you rescue two, you save the world for those two. And those two beautiful babies are there right now. The transport truck is on the way to pick them up, and we just need $400. This is why I am putting the donate link in the chat, begging everybody to please. I don't beg very often, but we need to do this. And I've already given more than I can afford to rescue them. And I'm also going to add $100 to the transport. Lindsay's going to add $100 so that, and it's matched. So we're really getting there. We just need anybody who donates, say you've donated on Facebook and comment that you've donated. That would help us. That would help us. That would give us some moral support as we do this emergency broadcast.
But any amount helps, right, Jane?
What? Any
Doesn't
amount.
matter
Any
what
amount
amount.
counts. So we've heard from everybody except the lovely lady at the top. Can you give us your opinion and why we need to jump in?
Thank you, Jane and Lindsay, for doing this. I just wanted to add on to what you guys were talking about with the slaughter and the numbers. They have increased going to slaughter. In 2023, over 20,000 horses were reported to have been sent across the border to be slaughtered, which is, it's cruel. Over 19,000 landed in kill pens. So the ones that were saved, thankfully they didn't get on that truck to go across the Canadian border or Mexican border. And then in late 2022, over 1,000 wild horses and burros were sold at auctions where kill buyers more than likely got them. I've witnessed.
Show you something pretty neat right here.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There was a few auctions that I had witnessed that the kill buyers did get them. And what they do is they will pay a low price. For example, there was two young ones. There was a group of three, and two of them were bought by a kill buyer. One was paid $600, the other one was $625, and the lot turns around and marks them at a bail price of $975 for the public, which is horrendously over what they paid for. There's several instances where they will pay $1,000 or $900, and they just rack the price up, $500-$600 more than what they paid for the horse at the auction.
Oh, it's so disgusting. I mean, it really is. Is there any kind of effort in Congress to stop this abomination, given that, and we're going to put up a donate now. This is the link to donate, but we want to make it clear. People are looking at this link. They have no idea what it is. There we go. Donate now to save two healthy horses from going into this horrific pipeline. And we keep putting up the link. Just click on it. It goes to a PayPal. You can do $5, $10, $15, $20, $100. The donations are matched, so please do that. These are the two healthy horses. I saved them along with other generous people, but then we realized that we have to pay the hauler for transport. The hauler is on their way there now. We're about $400 short. Oh, Lindsay, yes, thank you. You donated. Bravo. Anybody who donates, please just comment on Facebook that you've donated. We'll put your name up there. You're a hero for these animals. But is there any move in Congress, and whoever wants to take this, is there any move in Congress to stop this abomination, given that we've got Doge running around cutting all these programs? I would think this would be the first program anybody would want to cut. What a complete and utter waste. Take it away, somebody, please.
Linda?
Okay, I will say the one thing right now, Doge, they did cut the wild horse and burro budget, for the proposed wild horse and burro budget. It hasn't been firmed up, and they're cutting it by 30%. And the crazy part about that, well, no, that's going to be their justification for killing the horses and holding.
Oh,
so most of the BLM budget currently goes to warehousing these horses. And like I said, the last 2 years solely have been rounded up because for numbers. There was no range. I was at some roundups. The grass was high. There were ponds everywhere. Even the BLM people told me this range is in great condition. The ranchers want the horses to lower numbers so they can put more cattle out. And so, so like I said, and so now we're having a situation where now they've cut the budget, and then so now our concern is that the easiest way to cut it, I could find ways to cut it if we returned horses that have been rounded up the last 2 years, and they're getting ready. They're already over, but they're cutting it by about $50 million. But they're getting ready to round up horses this year from land that I was just out there. We did a conference out in Colorado, and we went up to Wyoming. There's 2 million acres. It's a checkerboard area. So over over 1 million acres are public lands, and the horses are there, and they're a rare breed of horses. They actually have curly manes and tails, and they have curly hair. And the ranchers have sued for every horse out there. They're going to be removing over 3,000 in July. And so the fact that they're doing that, and they're going to put those horses in holding, and I did the math, it's going to cost $27 million to feed those horses for the next year. So if they're talking about budgets, they need to leave the horses on the range where they are self-sustaining. They can feed themselves while they don't cost us a dime. And we got to remember that the ranchers are only paying $1.35 a month to have a cow and a calf out on the public lands. It costs more than that to feed a hamster. So they're getting welfare, they're getting a free ride. And a lot of these ranchers are not even family owned anymore. They're big corporations. They've bought up the land. They're getting just to ship it off, and and less than 2% of our beef in this country come from public lands. Most of it gets shipped overseas. So it would not affect us in any way for that to be gone and the animals to be able to stay out there. Go ahead.
If you're upset about this, if you see this as the abomination it is, every time you eat animals, every time you eat a hamburger, you're part of this whole reason why this is happening. So if you don't like the fact that the wild horses are being killed, please adopt a plant-based diet, because it's a law of supply and demand. If people weren't eating the cattle, then there wouldn't be any reason for the cattle to take over all the lands. And again, the government is subsidizing this. The government and the meat industry are one and the same. It seems like the BLM is run by the meat industry, because they are working not at the behest of Americans who love horses. They're working at the behest of the cattle industry that wants that land for itself. If the horses are eating the grass, the cattle aren't eating that same grass. So they want to get rid of all the horses so the cattle can eat the grass. And the reason that's happening is that people eat cattle. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
Jane,
Last thing I'd like to say, that the fact that they're talking about appropriations right now and this budget that is cut, and the possibility that that language is not going to be in there, every one of us have a senator and two senators and a congressman, and they can call
their congresswoman, congress member,
representative, and they should be calling their local their DC offices on a regular basis. And the number is 202-456-1414, or you can just Google who's my congressman and who's my senators, and you'll be able to find exactly where to call. And be polite, but just call and say that you completely do not support this, and you want them to sign on to the SAFE Act. Because Britta and I we're on the Hill, and she can go into more of that. She's been doing really great lobbying specifically on the SAFE Act with different organizations.
What's that phone number, please? I'll put it up.
Okay. It's 202-456-1414. And that's the Capitol switchboard. And you tell them where you live and your address, and they will connect you to the offices of where you need to talk. But be polite. These are staffers, but they do make notes. And if they get enough calls about something, it does go up the food chain. So it's really important, because we go in all the time and they said, we haven't heard anybody else call about this. So everybody has a responsibility to get this changed. And only through pressure is going to happen.
Yeah, the reason we're doing this is an emergency. Please, that's great. No, it's 202, not 206. The reason 202.
Got it.
Yeah. The reason we're doing this, it's an emergency. There's a trucker heading to pick up these two horses right now, and there is not enough money to pay the trucker to move these two horses to safety. Now, a group of people, including myself, saved the horses. That wasn't cheap, but then we found out there is a transport charge. So we're holding an emergency Unchained TV podcast right now to urge the public. If everybody watching just gave $10 or $5, there's a match too. We would hit the $400 immediately. I've also donated an extra $100. Lindsay has donated an extra $100. Anybody who has donated, please just text that you've donated, put it on the Facebook comments, and that will be a wonderful thing that we're hearing. I mean, listen, these animals cannot save themselves. And one of the reasons why, there is a horse crisis, aside from the fact that our government is systematically, I would say, committing genocide on horses by wiping them off our public lands to kowtow to the cattle industry, is that horses are expensive. And people sometimes get horses on a whim, and then they find out, oh, yeah, they're expensive. Or they have these visions, Elizabeth Taylor in some movie riding around on a horse, and then they realize horseback riding is a lot more complicated than that. And then they give the horse away, or they sell the horse. And that poor horse goes into a whole downward spiral and ends up getting shipped for slaughter. So the other problem is breeding. There's horse breeders out there. That's a whole other problem. But right now we're talking about these poor horses that are free horses on our public lands that we as taxpayers should be in charge of. And Americans love their horses. And despite all that, our government is rounding up these wild horses at huge expense to taxpayers. And then they end up getting shipped to slaughter. And even as the government says it wants to radically cut spending, their solution is to kill the horses they've rounded up as opposed to releasing those horses back to public lands. It's absolutely a moral outrage. If you're upset about it, please donate. Please donate to stop this horse abuse. We can't save all the horses today, but we can save these 2 horses. And by doing that, we've saved the world for those 2 horses. So, Lindsay, I don't know what else to say.
Well, I think I will just say that for me, watching that video that I watched earlier that we showed here, I mean, the heartbreak of this beautiful animal out there. And I looked at the babies being born. I saw a baby running around a pen. Let me show a couple of clips here. I think pictures are worth 1,000 words. So let's go through a few clips. This is, I guess, the assessment of them. It's showing them how they sell them. It's like how many pounds of flesh per, they can get. Now there's barrows also, and we never talk about the barrows, but look at these babies comforting each other here. I mean, and this one with.
There's the little baby. Look at him run. Stands right beside his mama. He's trying to catch up.
I mean, look at that baby. I mean, it makes you so sad because it has no idea the future it may have. It may very well be killed or die from neglect. I mean, it's so terrible. Last night I couldn't sleep. I was having nightmares. And I wish I could donate more. Right now I'm donating some others. Unfortunately, there's so many animals that need to be saved, but if we each could just put in a few dollars, like 5, 10. People don't want to put in 5 or 10 because they feel like, oh, that's nothing, but
it counts,
right? Take it over, ladies. You have been there. Has any one of you been witnessed a roundup? Tell us about some of your experiences doing this activism, if you would. Who wants to jump in here? Who hasn't spoken for a while? Nicole, go ahead, Linda.
I was going to say, I've been to several roundups over the last 4 years. I document them for Wild Horse Education because of the amount of abuse and just lack of care we see at these roundups. I've seen like the babies getting left behind and stuff like that. I've seen pregnant horses chased. And then also one of the first roundups I went to, they were using hot shots, which are like cattle prods on the horses excessively. And they actually had, we hear about the helicopter roundups, but at times they have police sirens on these helicopters that that increase the terror that much more because they can move them faster that way. Because it's the faster they do it, the more money they make. But there was a blind mare and she would not get in the trailer, and they spent 30 minutes trying to rope her and do everything. And the end result is they used their stock horses to drag her into the trailer. And they said that it was a pre-existing condition, but she did die. And that was heartbreaking because you could see that she was just dripping in sweat because she was just so traumatized, not knowing what's going on. But yeah, you've seen them. I wish I would have known. I have some videos of them pushed all into the pen, and there's like 10 babies in there, and the horses are so crowded, they're literally jumping and getting off the ground. They're off the ground and trying to climb over each other to get out. It is really, really traumatic. It's really, really difficult. And the fact that there seems to be a total lack of care if they're going to round them up, but like when they get really crowded and stuff, the wranglers don't back off and let them calm down. They just keep doing it. They just don't. You can see that they just don't care. And that's the hardest part for me, is that, you just see that, and, and I'm like, why don't they just let that horse go if they're going to be back here tomorrow, instead of running it to the ground where, like you said, I haven't seen, a fatal break or anything during my roundups where I saw it. There was a broken neck at one of the roundups I was at, but I was out at angle to see it. But yeah, it's just, and also when the roundup is just the very beginning, because when they round them up, they put them into a trap, and then they take them in a trailer. Sometimes they take them to another part of the range. They force them up into semi trucks, and once they get that full, then they go to a short-term holding where they unload them and they sort them by sex, age, and so that's the first time the babies are separated from the moms if they're older.
Right.
They deem.
I want to just jump in right now because we're already at over a half hour, and I know, Jane, you have another thing you have to get off to, and another fire to put out. So if you have to go ahead, leave. We'll stay on for about another 10 minutes, but we want to encourage everyone to
donate. If this outrages you, donate. There's no cup of coffee or whatever it is that you might do with $5 or $10. I'm begging you, please donate. All you have to do is copy that, and it'll go right to Sweetgrass Advocacy for American Equines to save those 2 horses. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Jane. And ladies, okay, we'll go on for a little bit longer here, but we also want to encourage people to, if you can't donate, and I know some people maybe can't donate right now, share this out right now. This will get out there. More people will see it, and share it out through your social media. This is going to help. Also, you were talking about who they could contact earlier. We can go back to that for a moment. So who wanted to cover that? You were saying maybe, Nicole, you haven't spoken much. Why don't you go ahead? If there's something you want to add in, why don't you go ahead and do that now? And I did
want to let you know, when you played that video with the baby running next to his mama, that baby actually did pass shortly after leaving the lot due to being born on a kill pen lot. So unfortunately, the baby didn't get to grow up because of, irresponsible backyard breeding, the roundups, just everything that adds to it, that these horses land in these kill pens. So it's very important that if you see one, you can adopt one, donate to the rescues that are saving them, anything you can do to help them.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to share anything else? I think we covered it all. We just need people to get out there and take action. And again, sometimes people will take action afterwards. So please do, everyone. Remember that $5 or $10 will save a life. Skip that Starbucks, as we always say, and save a life, because you really can make such a difference here. And raise awareness, please raise awareness about what's going on. I think a lot of people are unaware about that. Maybe we play again some of that footage, that piece again, for new people that came in, because I think it's quite.
A USDA study showed that 92% of horses sent to slaughter are young and healthy. Kill buyers want healthy horses so they can get more per pound. Also, it's against the law to transport a horse that is sick or injured. After kill buyers make their purchases, the horses go into feedlot pens where they undergo vet checks, which take about 7 days. They are then whipped and stuffed into cattle trucks known as stock trailers. The truck is packed to its maximum weight capacity, at least 30 horses per truck, for the trip to Canada and Mexico. They receive no food or water for the trip that lasts 3 to 7 days. Many arrive dead or badly injured from the inhumane trip. You know these big cattle trucks are going to slaughter plants because upon inspection, the horses will be loose inside the truck, have stickers on their backs, no halters, and no food or water. There will also often be horses that are dead, injured, and suffering inside the trucks. Conversely, humanely cared for horses aren't transported in big cattle trucks. They travel in smaller horse trailers. They are usually tied in the truck securely with a halter and always have their own space so other horses can't step on them. They will have food and water. They also won't have a sticker on their back unless a family or rescue has recently purchased them. State and international border agents routinely see these big cattle trucks filled with slaughter-bound horses, but let them through because it's not against the law. After the horses cross the border, the ones that survived are beaten into tiny kill chutes where they are given a captive bolt that doesn't kill them the majority of the time. Captive bolts aren't designed for horses because horses are flight animals that have long necks that move wildly when they are frightened. They are then dismembered alive. There are only approximately 60 known kill buyers as of 2022. Horse slaughter has decreased substantially over the years because of public outrage and education. Also, some European nations won't purchase horse meat from American horses because it's here's an overview.
Oh my God.
Lindsay, this is Britta. Two things really quickly.
Sure.
One about the two horses that you're trying to save. Those two horses are in the possession of probably they're all notorious kill buyers, but one of the most notorious kill buyers.
Don't name any names though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not using any names.
Thank
you. But so that's important to know that these two horses really do need to be able to leave the kill pen as soon as possible. And the other thing two other things about education and informing. Horse Plus Legislative Coalition is the lobbying arm of Horse Plus Humane Society, which is the largest equine welfare organization in the world. And we have formed a C4. We've been in Washington, D.C. The past couple of months and continue to lobby and continue to have our year planned out for being in DC to lobby. Linda and I are doing the best that we can to educate. But if you know people who are members of the Farm Bureau in your state are really important to educate. Most Eastern and even Midwest farmers have no idea that they're paying $20 to $60 per head to raise their cattle, and Western ranchers are getting to set their cattle on our public lands for $1.35 per cow pair. So most of your Eastern state farmers, family farmers who have to work really hard to make a living and to create a life for their families, they aren't aware of this. And so if you are a member of a Farm Bureau, or if you know anybody that is, please help us educate the Farm Bureaus from state to state. That's one of Horse Plus Lobbying Coalition's missions, is to go from state to state to lobby Farm Bureaus and let them know what's happening to their local farmers. And we will also be in Texas in August, going office to office, because Texas ships the largest number of horses to slaughter. So if anyone is interested in lobbying in Texas, we'll be seeking out folks to go to offices with. So,
where in Texas would that be?
We're going to be hitting very key districts first, and then if we add, we will add. So the congressional district in Houston is going to be important. They passed a recent state bill that allows horse meat to travel through their ports, and so it's going to be important to talk to them about what they're allowing through their ports. We'll be going to the district where Presidio is. We'll be going to the district where McLean, Texas is, Bowie, Texas. So those will be some key areas.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything they want to share before we end the broadcast?
Yeah, I do real quick. I just saw something. I just want to reaffirm that there is no way to humanely slaughter a horse. They are a flight animal. They are very intuitive about energy coming towards them. Like you hear about, well, we should just slaughter them in the U.S. Where that's happened has been catastrophic environmentally for the communities. Crime has been really, really bad. The last two places that shut down, those states actually banned slaughter from coming back. Horses are not designed for this type of thing, and all the equipment they use is for cattle, which if anybody looks at a horse and a cow, you'd see they're very, very different. So there is no humane way to slaughter a horse. They should not be slaughtered. They're not, they're not for that. They're companions, they're pets, they're wild animals, and they should be left as such.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Anything else we want to add? We'll put up the donation numbers. I mean, the donation URLs a couple more times here.
Lindsay, I have something.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that right now there's 26 Mustangs sitting on 6 different kill pen lots from Texas to Oklahoma to Colorado to Louisiana. So please, just if you can, research them, and if you can adopt one, give them a home, please do. I run a 501c3 as well, Heart of the Wild Equine Rescue. So you can follow me, message me if you'd like to, and I can, help you get the Mustangs. So we are all a team and just trying to save them. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. And then we also want to mention Sweetgrass Advocacy for American Equines, which is the other group that are involved that are receiving the donations and are saving, I believe, these two that we were showing. We want to make it clear to people that among others that you guys are rescuing. Like you said, you all work as a team, and thank you so much, all of you, for what you do. And for the horses, because they have no voice, and it's incredibly criminal and horrific. I want to thank you for being on. I want to remind everyone to be sure and watch my show, Action Hour podcast, here on Unchained TV streaming network. And be sure to download Unchained TV. You just go to unchainedtv.com or watch.unchainedtv.com. Check out the amazing programming, which is totally free. Amazingly, we've got everything from cooking shows, documentaries, shows like this, talk shows, exercise, fitness shows, anything you can think of, music videos, and it's all free, plant-based and conservation-minded programming, consciousness programming. So please join us in our journey to help make the world a better place for everyone. And thank you, ladies, for being on. Those of you out there that do social media, please share this out. Share out clips from this broadcast, as I will be doing. It will make a difference. And if you could find it in your pocket to donate $5 or $10, $15, just skip that, bagel and coffee this morning and go out and make the donation. So thank you so much, everyone, for being on today. We really appreciate it, and I hope we can save these horses. Please keep us posted so we can broadcast that also.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. I'm going to end the live stream. You can stay on if you like, and we can chat further.